Hello, hello, hello. Can you guys see me and hear me perfectly? I hope you can. And somewhere around, I have a glass of wine, but I am not sure where it is. So let's try to find it. Oh, there it is. Well, cheers, my beautiful, sexy people, and welcome to today's special episode of podcast. I know I might be doing a lot of because I am sitting on the bed, and that is not a coincidence. That is because we are going to be talking about not sex, about femininity. Am I too zoomed in on that little video? I don't know. I don't know if I am. Anyway, I was thinking about recording this podcast for a while, and as always, I don't know where exactly I want to start, but we are going to start maybe from my story, because everything that I teach, I usually put that knowledge through me personally, through myself, through my experiences, and only after that I feel a little shift to the position. I feel comfortable enough to share it with my clients and with you, wherever you are watching the podcast. Just a quick introduction. My name is Elizabeth Sullivan. Maybe not Sullivan for too long, but Elizaveta Sullivan for now. I am a clinical psychologist, a gestalt therapist, a clinical hypnotherapist. I do work specifically with women to help them achieve the highest potential of their life. And that is kind of what I do with myself. That is my main passion. That is something that I am most excited about. As excited as I am with touching my hair on this podcast. But yeah, I am most excited about actually getting through this life, going through this life, unlocking all the deepest hidden potential levels of myself, of my being, because I know we live in the endless possibilities. We live in the reality that has absolutely no restrictions on what you can have, on what you can achieve. And the only differentiation, the only difference between people who achieve more or less is that aspect of personal development. Whether it comes consciously or unconsciously, it all can be explained by special systems, whether it's psychology or energy healing or spiritual practices, whatever it is. At the end of the day, they teach the same things. And it's kind of like reading the manual for life and figuring out how you can implement the most out of what you want into your reality. So that is my quick introduction. Very, very motivational. I know this is my quick motivational video that I might record and insert into my Instagram. If you haven't subscribed to that, go ahead and click the button below. If you're watching this on YouTube or if you're listening to this as a podcast, there definitely should be a button somewhere out there. So look for it. My Instagram is great. But today, I wanted to talk about the family systems, the feminine position, the femininity, the relationship dynamic, the dynamic of a woman as is, and what a woman is supposed to come into at this day and age. And it started with my own life, obviously. Cheers. I have always had this very sexualized presence to myself that a lot of people definitely mistaken it with true femininity. But even though I am pretty feminine, I know how to be sexy and sexual. I started really looking into the depth of what it means to be a woman, and not what it means to be a woman by itself, because at the end of the day, you cannot define a woman without defining a man, right? Like, there needs to be this opposition. There needs to be something to compare it with. And what is this main difference between woman and a man? I do hold a very conservative opinion on the women and men, because it also aligns with spirituality, also aligns with my core principles. The difference between man and woman is what is going to establish your relationship in society as well, whether you're a woman or a man. One of my teachers, one of my great teachers, who is also a channeler, who is also a visionary, who works with millionaires and very successful and rich and powerful people over this world. One of his exercises that he gives to everyone, he says, never forget at least 5-10 times a day. If you're a man, say I'm a man. If you're a woman, say I'm a woman. Internally, to really feel and embody that DNA coding within you, to remember who you really truly are. So, if you haven't seen my previous podcast, go ahead and watch that, because I actually don't really explain some of the dynamics that are happening there. It just gets you with what has happened to me in my life in the past few months. But what has happened is that I have unlocked the next depth of my trauma with my mother, with another woman. And it really started this dive into differentiation, into figuring out what being a woman really is. I always thought I am, but coming in some of the circumstances, some of the experiences that I got into in the past few months, it just showed to me that there is so much more for me to learn in terms of how and what exactly does it mean to be a woman. And a woman, let's talk the group dynamics, for example, the family dynamics and the dynamics of the family systems. If you look at relationship, if you look at couples, a man is always supposed to be standing a little bit in front. Like if you were to put little figures, maybe I'll do a separate video on YouTube on the Geringer's deck. I don't know how it's called. It's an amazing exercise that is going to give you so many insights, but this is the professional way of actually figuring out your family system. But if you look at the family system, the way it's supposed to look is that a man stands a little bit in front and then a woman stands a little bit behind, right? Because at the end of the day, if you're more of a traditional family, if you're seeking to create a traditional family, you eventually, if you're a woman, are going to become a childbearer. If you're a man, you are going to be a caretaker, right? Because no matter how you shifted and twisted, whatever it is, the biology still dictates the way the energies in the family system work. Like a man is the provider, the man is the supporter, the man is somebody who stands in front, right? The man who is supposed to energetically stand a little bit in front. And a woman is a caretaker, a woman is a nurturer, a woman is a receiver, whereas a man is a giver. So even though I have always been a very self-sufficient woman, I have always been successful, not always, but I eventually became successful, I realized that it is very hard for me to learn how to receive. And receiving is one of the primal things of what female position is supposed to be. So, I don't know where I'm going with this, to be honest. Like, there are a bunch of exercises that I wanted to share with you here, but I don't know which one to start with. But so anyway, cheers. This is my first glass of wine. Maybe out of a couple, maybe not. Who knows, not me. So some of the events in my past few months, in my private relationship, for example, have showed that instead of standing in the position of a woman, of a wife, I ended up unlocking the next depth for myself, which was my transfers onto mother, my motherly transference onto man. We always project either our father or mother onto our partner, right? Some traits of it are always going to be there. But the thing that I have discovered in myself is that at a certain point, I started projecting the needs I had for my mother onto my partners. And when I had my abortion as well, it opened up a lot of trauma, a lot of depth, a lot of understanding in what exactly is happening in this dynamic. And I realized that I have to learn what it is to be a woman, not to find a mother, not to find a father, but to find a partner, but to develop the relationship with two suns shining, meaning two souls that are unlocking their potential. When one soul is a woman, one soul is a man. The fun thing is that any couple, in any relationship, you will always find a person who will match your traumas, if you please. So when we say, oh no, I'm in an abusive relationship, oh no, I'm in a relationship with a daddy, oh no, I'm in a relationship with a child, that means that you are willing to be in this relationship. You're willing to be a daughter, you're willing to be the mommy, you're willing to be whoever that matches this energy. So if you want to change the way your dynamic personally works within a relationship, it starts with you. So some of the things that really helped me on this journey, one of them, I'm going to share a couple of, this is probably what I'm going to do. I want to share a couple of exercises and tools that I was developing on this path that I'm still on. I'm still on this path of figuring out exactly what it means to be a woman, what it means to be in relationship as a woman, as a wife, as a caretaker, which does not mean you have to wear long skirts and always be there to satisfy sexually your man and to cook borscht and to cook pelmeni at home. No, it doesn't. But it means that the specific dynamics have to be in play. So one of the things that really I always naturally was drawn to that, but that is an amazing exercise that I can give to you. If you want to do this right now, go ahead and do it. So take a piece of paper and at the very bottom of it, sign it. Just sign it. Use your signature. Put your signature on it. Do that while I have a little glass, a little sip. And now that you've signed your paper, you will see whose queen you are. What last name are you using? Are you using your father's last name? Are you using your ex's last name? What exactly, whose queen are you? Because a woman, as she receives, she feeds her king. She feeds energetically, she feeds psychologically her partner, right? So whenever we get into a relationship, and I am a very strong believer and I'm always standing behind the idea that if you get in a relationship, make sure you talk about marriage. Living together for 5, 6, 7 years. And even from this exercise, if you look at the signature, your parents' signature, right? This is still your last name. You are not in this relationship. You are not committed to your man. You are not feeding your man. You're not charging your man. And how can you expect him to do anything for you, to invest in you, if you still do not choose him to be your king? If you are married and you decided not to keep your last name, same thing. Whose queen are you? Are you your daddy's queen? Are you your grandfather's queen? When I did this exercise, I got a lot of insights because for a long time I used the last name of my grandfather, who was kind of an idol, a masculine idol, the manly idol for me. Like, I thought a man should be like him, and I used his last name. So I was actually being his queen. Not my partner, not my own father. I was being the queen of my grandfather, taking in that family system the place of my grandfather, of my grandmother. And that energy, instead of flowing thoroughly like a current, just was doing like all crazy god types of things. I don't know what my hand movement was in this moment, but whatever. So yeah, do that. And then that is why marriage is extremely important. That commitment is extremely important because you get to stand on the correct place in the family system. You get to stand in the correct place within your family, with your partner in your relationship, as opposed to being two friends. No matter how long and committed you have been, it does not feed or it does not even create in your psyche, in your mind, the idea of a family, right? It's still very freely, it's still non-committed. It does not say, I am here for you, my king, I am here for you, my queen, and we are going to be taking our lives together, because that is, at the end of the day, the meaning for any sort or type of relationship, to find that partner that you can go and conquer life with. Anyway, so another thing that, honestly, I spoke about it on my Instagram. I did that, and I did that exercise, and I'm like, okay, good. I am very clear. I'm very set. I knew intuitively when I was getting married to my ex to take his last name, and I knew that when I get into a relationship, if I get into a serious relationship, if I get to any relationship, at the end of the day, I start talking about marriage, and I say, I know if I decide to be committed, I'm going to be taking the last name of the man I am with, because that creates the special dynamic within the family. But another thing that really shook me to my core, is understanding that apparently I am not able to receive. That is one of the main things I'm working in my life right now, is figuring out how, or teaching myself to just receive. So there was this one exercise on one of the trainings, specifically about relationships, specifically about husbands, for women as well, is to go and ask 6 people for a gift. That's it, right? Without any explanation, without saying, oh, it's just because I have to do this for my training, la la la. And ask for something specific, something that you actually need, not ask like, oh, just get me a gift, and they get you like a toilet paper or gum. That does not count. Is asking for something specific, not something big, that with their income, it's not going to be something significant. It's just a small like souvenir or a gift. And I got this exercise, and I've heard about it. Like, this has been in my field for a long, long time. It's a very coaching. This exercise comes from a coaching world, right? To train your body, new possibilities, to show new possibilities, to show new pathways that you can do in your life, to show that it's okay to ask for something and then receive no, or then receive yes. Doesn't matter. There are like different variations of it. But this specific one, about asking for a gift, guys, you should have known what a level of resistance I've met at that point. It is insane. I was like, no, I don't want to do this. I can't. Then I will have to owe something back. Then what if they think this of me? What if they think that of me? Even though I always have a lot of men around me who are, willing to do things, who say that they like me, like it's an obvious thing, or like flirting with me, whatever it is. That specific act of asking for something has shook me to my core. And I realized that throughout my life, I've always been, or I've always felt more comfortable in the position of a chaser, in a position of a hunter, right? In a position of not a dame in distress, but I needed to pick a victim, if you please, or I needed to pick my prey, and then I would go for it. Yes, I know all the mechanics. I know all the tools on how to get any man to start having feelings for you, to start, to decide that he wants to get engaged with you, whatever it is. It's very technical. And I have a special masterclass that is called Love Spell that teaches all those hooks and anchors and tools from a psychological perspective, that makes sure, that helps you create those anchors in the relationship that you want to, get serious in. But that specific way of me figuring out who I like has always been this very prey-like dynamic. I don't know. I'm like a little lioness who sees somebody and I'm like, wow, I'm going to go after you. And that's something that always excited me. That's something that always, got me that drive. But receiving things or being chased in that way without you making the first, even if it's not a technical move, you still make that choice internally. That is something that I was very uncomfortable with. And when I received that 6-gift exercise, it took me 2 weeks, if not more, with so much resistance to just text somebody, to just text my friends, like my male friends even, that I want something. So what? So that's it. I don't know. That's the exercise that I wanted to share with you. Here you go. What do you think about it? Try it. But I started teaching myself to actually not take that position or the manly position in relationship, right? That manly position in dynamics. And one of the things that I started implementing myself is that whenever I go out with any type of male, whether it's a business meeting, a lunch, a drink, a date, whatever it is, never go for the check. Because when you are a woman, right? When you embody that feminine mentality, when you embody that DNA coding, I am a man, I'm a woman, what it carries beneath it is that whenever we go in the society, a woman stands behind. Like a man always shows in the society that I'm going to take care of you. So men's position in any type of relationship, in relationship dynamics, is to take care of a woman within the society. Woman's position is to take care of a man inside the house, behind the closed doors. So when you go out and you start paying for yourself and you start taking somebody out and you start taking, guys on dates or paying for drinks, etc., it just changes, not even in your relationship, even if it's not your partner, it changes within you. Oops, sorry, microphone, I hit you. It changes within you that perception of self, of who I am. It basically confuses your DNA, it confuses your mindset, it confuses your psyche of who I am and what my position is. Okay, so whenever I go out, it doesn't matter even with who, even if, it's Starbucks, even if it's not a fancy dinner, it doesn't have to be something that a man cannot afford. But even if it's something small, I'd rather go to some smaller restaurant and not pay for myself than going to a fancier restaurant taking a guy out. Because then I deny myself internally my primal nature, my being, right? The fact that I am a woman. And the way it's going to bite me back in the ass is that in relationship, that position is not going to be stood upon, right? Like if you take chess, for example, which that group dynamic, that group board, what is it called? Family system board, is very similar to. I promised you I'm going to do a YouTube video for that, on that, describing exactly how it works. In chess, no matter what, every chess piece has its own way of moving, right? In order for the whole game to work out, in order for the game to play itself out, to actually exist, every position, every piece of chess is supposed to take its position, whether it's a queen who walks any way it wants, or a king one step at a time, or the pawn one step as well, etc., etc. So if you take a look at that, and if at one time, right, you cannot even imagine this, in one move, you just decide to use king and start going sideways, like across the board, it's not going to work out. It's going to ruin the entire game. So same thing within family positions, within group dynamics, within relationship dynamics, is figuring out exactly, or teaching your body, teaching your soul, teaching your mindset what your position is. If you are a woman, hold on to that. If you're a man, hold on to that. I have no problem nowadays, which took me as well a little time to actually go out and start not paying for me. Like, it started very harsh because I would just deny it. I'm like, no, 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 no. Now it becomes more and more natural and more easy when you just take a little step back and you don't feel guilty and you don't feel shame. And believe me, I was facing all these feelings as well as somebody who comes from not a higher class, but who comes from position of more success. Like, it makes me feel shameful or guilty or whatever the fuck it is. It took me time, and I'm getting still more and more comfortable with just embodying that femininity, just embodying that energy of being able to receive, being able to position myself in a way where it's okay for me to just get, to just receive. Okay, receive. And then that is something that I can give back, which is really funny because I'm reading this book that's called Gene Keys right now. And one of the primal key for me, the Gene Key, if you haven't heard about this book, it's pretty fun. It's kind of like human design, but my soul main gene key is 62, and the idea of 62, the main gift of 62 is intelligence, right? And the main struggle for 62 is actually getting into the feminine position. And that just made me think. I literally read it yesterday and I'm like, okay, now I have to record this podcast. Now I have to record my journey to true femininity, to truly embodying exactly what it is to be a woman, okay? And once again, it does not mean sit on somebody's shoulders and like being like, la 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 la, I don't do anything with my life. That's a child's position. That's not a woman's position. Doesn't mean that a woman cannot be successful and make money and become rich and become powerful and famous. But you have to remember who you are. Yes, you're rich, you're powerful, you're successful, but are you a man or a woman? Okay, so to just end this podcast, very rushed, not even rushed, but it's very like flowy. I'm not even sure where I was going with it type of a podcast. That's okay. We can work with that. We can deal with that. But yeah, teaching and learning actually what exactly it means to be feminine, to be flowy, to be receptive, to be sensual takes a lot. I mean, it took a lot for me. It still does. That's something that I'm still learning, and I'm not pushing myself, but I am challenging and spreading up the boundaries of exactly what it's going to be like, exactly what I need to do to get there. Because if you learn to position yourself as a queen, you are going to have a king by your side, okay? It doesn't work that a lion is going to end up, or a lioness ends up with goat, right? When I have clients who come to me and they say, well, you know, I am very happy with my life, I'm not happy with my partner, that means that your partner is just mirroring you. There's always a potential of a couple. As I've mentioned in the beginning of the podcast, there's always the couple dynamic. There's a capacity of a couple, and you choose exactly how much of it you're going to take. If you're going to take all of it, what do you expect of your partner? How do you expect him to be successful? How do you expect him to get up and start making money or do anything with your life if you're taking all of it? Or if you're taking all of it and you're not happy, you move the partner, you go to a bigger base, right? But that happens naturally. That has to happen and flow naturally. That choice that you made within the couple to whoever you attract, whoever you end up with, that just mirrors what exactly is going on inside of you. So that is something that I'm going through in my life. Who's there? That is hello. That is something that I'm going through in my life right now. And that is a journey, let me tell you. Be feminine, my beautiful people, my sexy people. Don't forget, if you were to take one thing from this episode, is just throughout the day, try to implement this. I promise you, it's going to change your perception so much. Just throughout the day, 5-10 times out of nowhere, just remember, I am a man if you're a man. I'm a woman if you're a woman. And yeah, I love you. I'm gonna go and receive some beautiful dinner right now. Some risotto, homemade risotto. And I'm gonna try some mushrooms, which are legal in California, but I've tried it once in Miami and did not really feel anything. But let's try. I don't know what's gonna happen. If you want to know, follow my stories. I love you. Mwah. Ciao. Love you, love you, love you.